Hi Romina, welcome to our first autumn meeting of the See Through Café in a new format and new location and all dictated by the new rules, but it's really a pleasure to have you here. Romi Cruañas is an artist, a playwright, director, facilitator, works in the field of theatre in a number of different roles, and also has been living in Ireland for a number of years, doing all sorts of things that we will discuss in a minute. Romina was born in Argentina, moved to Italy at a young age, so grew up bilingually, and also grew up raised by a family where there were multiple cultures, multiple views of the world. So it'll be interesting to chat about this later as well, and to chat about what you're up to and how language has influenced your identity, the way you work, and the way you approach the kind of work that you do. So welcome, Romina.
Thank you.
So I think I will just get started by asking you maybe how this dual, multiple identity given to you by the two languages, Spanish and Italian, has been an influence on your work.
Well, it has definitely been influenced my personality. So my personality influences my work, and my world a lot, for sure. I guess when there is this dualism, I would say, like there is this, you are not the same as everyone else around you, but at the same time you have something in common with a different community of other people. You experience the best and worst of both worlds. So growing up, it would have been quite difficult to find my feet. I would be, in a way, feeling that I wasn't Argentinian enough for my Argentinian family, and I definitely wasn't Italian enough for my Italian peers and people around me. So for a long time, I was like, very confused about everything, and it does have an impact growing up, you know. And I guess this impact, in a way, it's up to me to switch it from a negative feeling about this impact to say like, no, there is an impact, but it's not a negative impact. I'm actually just a person that from a very young age had a lot more information. So information technically on language and words from different parts of the world, but also then it helps you understand other people that maybe don't speak your language at all. But just because you know more than one language, then you can figure out, you just think differently. I guess like brain pathways gets all connected and fired up in different ways. So finally, it took me only 34 years. I'm not only accepting it, but I believe it's a little bit of a superpower to be bilingual.
Yes, yeah. And you probably appreciate it now more than you appreciated when you were a child.
Definitely, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there was this thing when I was a kid where like with my sister we'd be in the bus and we'd be like, oh, we have a secret code, you know, because we're speaking another language. But at the same time, then it did happen in our life, this, you know, oh, look at this or whatever. You know, when you're a kid, maybe you're commenting on someone's shoes or anything, and they'd be like, yo hablo español, I know what you're talking, you know, and then you'd be like, oops.
Yes, and it happens to people as well. I'm not going to tell you stories. But yeah. Then you moved to Ireland, so yet again a new culture, a new language. Did you know English where you moved to Ireland already?
It was funny because I knew very little from the Italian school, like the cat is on the table, the cat is under the table. My English was like this when I arrived. It was very simple, very clear. And then I started living with French people, and so I learned my English a little bit like this. And the taxi drivers were telling me, where in France are you from? I'm like, I'm not from France, why are you saying that? So my English changed pretty quickly. And because I guess of the bilingual brain and I having a base of English, I picked it up quite fast. I also taught it to people. First night in Dublin, and a person, I was in Talbot Street, my hostel for the first night was just there. Do you go to Lucha? And I'm like, excuse me? I got a lighter. Like what? A lighter? A lighter. You mean a lighter? I'll give it to you, of course. I was I guess I still am. I'm changing a little, but from day one, I was just like, cara dura, we say in Spanish, you know, just like no shame whatsoever. I'll teach you how to say lighter in your own language.
Oh, yeah.
I learned.
So then, so I mean, of course we could get into language and go on and on and on, and it's true that, you know, no matter where you go, even within Ireland, there's different accents and there's different ways of speaking English, and this also applies to, even within Dublin, there's different ways of speaking, so not only the accent but also the things you say, the kind of the words change depending on the area in Dublin and so on, which is fascinating. And it's also something that for a learner is daunting, maybe at the first time.
Very true. And it's the same with Spanish and Italian.
Yeah.
There's Spanish is the second most spoken language in the world, and it can be so different. The same identical word can mean really different things, and I would have learned this as a very young kid. So in a way, to arrive here and know pretty early on, okay, Irish people speak, they don't say bus like they taught us on listen and repeat lessons. They say bus. I would be like, I like this. It's, and kind of find these little things. And then, as you say, you move in another even part of town. You don't even have to get out of Dublin to encounter a total different accent from the one that I encountered first night in Talbot Street. And you move the other side of the Liffey, and people talk to you in a different way, like that.
Yeah. And I think in a way, like, you work in theatre where words are really important, where sounds are really important, even accents.
Yeah.
So if we put the writing aside, because the writing may not show the actual ways the words are pronounced, do you think it is difficult or it is impossible to get a role as an actor? Or like, how much is the language, so having a foreign accent or having an accent from a different part or from a different social class, how important is that in Ireland right now?
I believe within the theatre, when I started in 2007, I arrived in 2007, I started theatre in 2013. So I had my experience of Ireland in more of an office-related kind of background, and there would be so many people from countless countries living in Ireland. And I could see that what they used to do often enough was not find a connection with the cultural life in Ireland. They would have the team night out, they would have the pub and the office and the family and the house and the pub and the office and things. And after a couple of years, for me, it wasn't enough. And I was very young and I didn't know what I was looking for, So what I noticed later on is that there is this space for people connecting culturally that is actually a little bit unexplored in Ireland. And it's mainly what I figured out because of someone that wasn't hanging out only with the Italian team or only with the Spanish team, but I also had friends in the French team. And and a lot of time, my life, it was like a joke. A French and a Spanish and an Italian go to a pub, And then that was like, why is it funny? We do it every day. And, you start to think about that in that way, and you're like, why is there not other place than a pub in which we feel comfortable to be together within our diverse background and talking or experiencing different things? So it would be the cinema early on. So when I went to college, for me, one of the most kind of life-changing modules that I studied was women in theatre. And from that on, I had my feminist glasses on. Whatever movie I would watch, whatever series, ruined a lot of shows for me. Pillars of my childhood. I love this movie. Watching it back, I'm like, oh no, So in that way, it had an impact as well, because a lot of what we would see in the cinema, it would be blockbuster, mainstream, and there wouldn't be much diversity there as well, So of course now there are cinemas that do push for diverse movies or movies coming from different places, but I guess it becomes a little bit boring for a lot of people in an office setting. That was my experience when I arrived here, and a lot of them then would move back to where they come from. A lot of other people would move on to a next stage, and my interest was in finding out like what is missing and why a lot of people have a good job, they have a bunch of friends or whatever, and a lot of my friends, they would say, I can't just drink every night, like the only way that I can connect with people is through the pub, is to be tipsy or having a drink, and then a lot of things that I noticed myself would be like, maybe with your colleagues from Ireland or from a country that you don't speak the same language, they would be your best friends in the pub with a few drinks, but then on Monday morning you'd be like, good morning, and they'd be like, oh no, she remembered me, what did I do? I don't even remember what I've done, and there would be this kind of thing like, I wish there was a place where we could meet, where we could connect differently within Ireland with people from Ireland and not from Ireland. And I guess this is why Rather Gather came about, like I wish there was a possibility in which drinking or even just dancing or anything wasn't the main thing, but there was all of these spectrum of possibility that they end up being cultural possibilities, and all of this spectrum is there and it's really available for people of any country to connect, to meet, to chat, to discuss, and, So I found that with the arts, and I found out that I have been all my life a very artistic, a very dramatic person. And one thing that I say is, drama is within you, whether you want it or not, yeah? So you can do one thing that is very healthy, and it's put your drama into creativity of some shape or form, or you can let it take over and become a very dramatic person, which everything is terrible. But realistically, it's not. But you have, and everybody does now. A book of drama therapy says that from the age of 6 months old, we start acting. Yeah? So you have kids,
I have plenty of evidence.
Right? You have evidence of that. You know what type of cry, working which type of... And then you test boundaries, yeah? So it's a human condition to want some drama, to crave some drama. Some good drama with ha-ha-ha, and some bad drama, wallowing in pain. So if we leave a whole part of the population within a country without the ability to connect, to create drama, to positive drama, to fun drama, we are actually allowing them to then feel a little bit of this hole, this emptiness of like, okay, I'm just gonna go and then maybe get drama back with my family. Like usually a lot of people get the drama there.
Yeah, it's a good place to have some drama. Yes.
Yeah. So.
And say when you were talking about Rather Gather, and so you created, funded with others,
with one friend,
with a friend, Rather Gather, to bring people together who would be from pretty much any walk of life if they had an interest in actually gathering.
Exactly.
And so what did you do then to get started? So did you put on a show, or did you have opportunities for people to meet and just get to know one another?
Yeah, we put on firstly small events like gigs and concerts, and what we did is making sure that in these events and these gigs and concerts, diversity was the key. So we would have an Irish musician along with his guitar, and then we would have a 6-piece band and everybody's from a different country, and then we would have someone else having spoken word moment or a poem in whatever language, and that wouldn't matter as much. It's not a matter of what you do. We love the quality of what you do, but it has to be music, or it has to be poetry, it has to be, So we would open up, what would you like to share, and why would you like to share it? And just by knowing people that had so much talent, but because they were here and they couldn't share this talent, and they would be here struggling, working in their own way, and that what was missing. It's like, oh no, yeah, I play guitar, but I never play outside. I never play with my friends, and we would basically just push people like, yeah, you can do it. If they do it, you can do it, And it started a little bit through friends, acquaintances, and then it started to move on, and it became a festival, which were 400 people in 2016 celebrating in a field at a farm where it was gorgeous, And then it took 7 months of hard work, and we had no support of any type of funding or anything, and the only way that we managed to pay for that was through all of the little events that we did in the previous 7 months. And we would do a lot of raffling, we would do a lot of little extra thing to every little helps, like every euro. And at the same time, because it's not about the money, it's about the sharing, and people would feel it and people would connect, and that happened. After that though, me and Maribel Rivas, that co-founded Rather Gather, with me with the aim of making a smaller festival, because we started volunteering in festival and we said, oh yeah, there is more diversity in festivals. We like festivals, but at the same time we weren't 100% integrated. And I could still feel it sometime today. I still work in festivals, sometimes different shapes or forms, and I can go to some festival and it's a diverse festival. And then I go to a festival and it's a not diverse festival, you know? And it's like, why don't we gather? You know, like this idea of not having to choose whether you are only working with diversity or only working with Irish people, and say like, we can do this all together. That's what Rather Gather was about, you know?
Yeah, and I find exactly the same, where you say, yes, this is diverse. And then you have a festival or an event where you have also an audience that, magically is a diverse audience, because they're into all the mixture of identities and emotions that appear on stage that kind of speak to them. And then you might have another different thing where the diversity isn't there, but maybe is not there for a reason, you know? So it is something that I've seen here, but not only in Ireland. I don't think it's an Irish, specifically Irish or European scenario. It's more of a scenario of people who make something from their head, and from their head it has to take that shape, or they might say to themselves, no, I want this to be diverse, so suddenly they again create a schema of what this diversity should look like and what it should appear like, and that maybe doesn't work either. So I don't know, I can't...
I feel what you're saying is kind of like from the top down, as in like, okay, we're up here and we want to create this, so let's create it, and you lack the connection. And there is also like, you know, Charlotte McIver wrote a book on performance and diversity in Ireland, and she speaks also about festivals like Africa Day and things like this, and like it's something I think it's very interesting to read, because she does put academically and write black on white a lot of feelings that we have as diverse people, that a lot of time what happens is this thing of like, okay, we are gonna create this with you and with this community and with this community only, and then this community in relation with Ireland and now, or with the Irish community, and there's no such a thing as one Irish community. And now it's easy to think, all these foreigners come here, la la la. One thing that I say, well, before it was the gingers, and then it was the travelers, and then, you know, like, there was always within the human nature this need to point out at whatever else.
Other.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I wonder where did this come from, and this is a little bit within like the back of my head for my research and everything. Where does this need of othering someone come from, and how can we tackle that? And to me, the answer that I haven't really found yet, but that I'm feeling, is connection. As in, like, the more I want to connect, the more lonely I feel, the more scared I feel, the more I will point fingers out. And the more connected I feel, the more interested I will be in other people, you know? So that's why Rather Gather, it's about connection. Rather Gather is about, you know, a lot of Irish returning migrants are a very interesting topic for me to talk about, because a lot of people in Ireland will talk about, Ireland this, Ireland that, I'm going to go away, I'm going to leave, I'm going to have my experience, which is great, do that. And if you stay, fantastic. When you come back, what happens? Rather Gather was there for a lot of these people, that they would be like, thank you for doing this. People even that wouldn't have a place. One of our festivities, one of our celebration, we do on the 24th of December. Because in a lot of culture, 24th of December is a big party day, it's a big dinner day, it's a big, you know, let's gather. And even for me, growing up in Italy it wasn't like this, in Milan at least, I don't know for you. But we would do this very big 24th, you know, tomorrow is Christmas.
Yeah.
And we did this celebration, and so many people would come and so many people would say, thank you for doing this, I didn't know where to go, I don't. And a lot of these people were Irish. Do you know what I mean? They would be there and they would feel like maybe they couldn't go back home for a reason or another, maybe they had nobody to go back to. And when they were there, they were with someone from Brazil, someone from France, someone from Spain, someone from Argentina, someone from many, many different backgrounds. And they felt at home. And for me, that was like,
and I think you're tapping into something when you're talking about connection, which is a lot more important than inclusion, that is now the buzzword. Let's be like this diversity and this inclusion. Diversity, we have it. You open your door in a city in Ireland. Diversity is in every classroom. It's in every place you go into, in every queue in a bank. So you don't have to fabricate it.
Exactly.
The inclusion seems to me, yes, okay, come along, but actually it's the connection that people are looking for, and it is a human need. So it's not just artists, or it's not just communities, if you want to call them this way. It's an individual need.
Totally.
You want to get to know people, you want to connect with them. Some people might be happy with the connections that they already have, and that's enough for them. But for a lot of people, and I can include myself in this, being new here, or I've been here, 15 years, but being always the new person, the other, I still get asked all the time, where do you come from and how long have you lived here, and oh, your English is very good. So there is always that first step of getting to know each other, but then what we're really looking for is what do we have in common that we would like to celebrate. So it could be a 24th, but it could be going together to the cinema and watch something and discuss it, and you might have loved the movie, I might have hated it, and why, and let's talk about it. And that's how you make friendship, and that's how you make, you then have a place in that society, or in that group, or in your neighborhood, wherever that might be that you want to be in. You're part of that when you have connected with the people around you, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's what is, I feel, and I've heard a few other friends of mine saying that this is exactly what is missing, that you don't have somewhere to go physically. So there isn't a spot, like in Italy it could be maybe centro sociale for some people, the arci, so that you know that there's a few things that you're interested in, you're gonna kind of see the same people come back over and over. It's free, or mostly, based on donations, and it's a way to hang out. You bring a couple of friends and you meet a couple of others. And I feel here in Dublin, but probably in other places as well, there's very few special places where these things happen. Where you know that you're going to get to meet someone new that might spark a new idea, or you might get to know about, is this type of music I've never heard about before. There's this country I've never heard of before, and they actually play, a type of drum that is quite similar to the Irish drum, that is actually quite similar to the Southern Italian drum.
Yes.
And there you go, you start to make the connection this way. So I think tackling the issue of connection is really important, and much more important than inclusion, I think, in a way.
And for the lockdown, I guess, because I couldn't connect to many people physically, as well as an artistic career. I have my event management thing, so it was a little bit to bring it back in. And this is something that we spoke briefly in one of the cafes that we did online during lockdown. I think it's important, when you can't connect outside, when you can't connect with people. I'm going to tell you when you can't. I'm going to get serious now. What can happen next is try to connect with yourself and really listen to you, and really listen to, what do I need right now? I need to go for a walk, I need to have another glass of water. I'm pretty sure I don't need that piece of chocolate that I really want, but do I need it? And really connect with yourself. And in this process, for me, lockdown, it was challenging. At the same time, it was something that probably I needed to pause, to stop going outside. I want to connect with you, connect with me, come here. And it was like, okay, what am I missing within my connection with myself? And through that connection with myself, I can see now, that a new type of connection with outside is happening. And I hope, to be able to keep that balance between wanting to connect outside and not forget to connect within.
How deep. But professionally, you are doing a lot of things. You have been doing a lot of things, and you probably thrive because you do a lot of things and not just one. And these are all interconnected, but sometimes sometimes people want to be boxed, and they want to sell themselves as being the expert in something, or sometimes others want to box you and say, oh no, you are a director, so you should be directing, but no, actually I want to do also this, and I want to do also that, because in that project I'm more myself in that role, and so on. And did you experience in lockdown that having all these multiple identities, abilities, skills that you could repurpose yourself, because I mean the situation is challenging for everybody, there's no doubt about it. But in the arts, do you feel that having these multi skills has been helpful during lockdown?
I think it's very helpful for myself to be able to accept that I can do many things well, and then because I do many things well, some of the wellness level, and of course, you know, that is personal opinion, you know. What I'm saying is that all of these things kind of inform each other, and if I'm deciding to do this one thing, which is writing, I will put my choreography experience into it, I will put my directing experience into it, I will put my performance experience to it when I write, and at the same time, if I direct, I will put, you know, so all of these things are kind of intertwined and connected, which we like. And at the same time, I did feel that sometimes, just as where are you from, and you're like, okay, I was born in Argentina. So I was like, what do you do? Well, you know, I can do stand-up comedy, and I can write for it, and I can do playwriting, but I'm not. I am Romi. Nice to meet you. Like I'm none of these things, and I'm all of these things. I do all of these things, and I'm looking forward to do more and do better and keep doing and keep on this path. Because I think what I have is my why. So the how am I going to create connection? It can change. But I know that why I do it is to create connection, because that's what I'm craving, and I feel a lot of people crave it as well. I mean, not everybody. That's good. You know, like if someone does it, no problem. But, you know, it was very, very, very simple thing now. I don't want to sound ridiculous, but there was a sentence of someone saying, I think it was Rosa Parks. I thought someone should do something about this. And then I realized I was someone. And I think that what happened with me in Ireland. You know, within my 13 years, when I started, I did a theatre performance course. There's no pieces written for me. I don't want to have that part of, you know, mainly because you're a foreigner, you get a prostitute part. Let's talk about it openly, it's fine, you know? And then you're a woman, so... And a couple of auditions into prostitute parts, and I was like, I really feel like right now I'm putting myself in a situation that's not the story I want to tell. So, who am I to write a story? Someone that likes writing, let's write a story, you know? And from there, you know, this.
And in a way, it's doers, I think, that kind of move the stones slowly and the rocks and the walls slowly, because it's all very good talking about things. And we can go on all day talking about issues with diversity, issues with racism, and even tolerance and acceptance, and trying to understand each other better. We could go on all day. But actually, I think it is now the time to not talk about it anymore and to do things.
Yes.
Because I feel that there's been a lot of chatting and a lot of discussions about how we can do better, and everybody's really keen to how, you know, to do better, whatever that better might be. And sometimes better is just the most natural way of, you know, doing things with some thought put into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with, I don't know, it's exactly what you're saying. There's small changes happen when you do things, and then you discover that you are a change maker.
You discover that you're not alone as well. You discover that you're not alone. So thank you. I'm going to take this opportunity to try and make you cry, which is something I love doing, by the way. I love making people cry. To see people like you that are here and they are doing what they do and they're trying their best, it just gives me so much hope and helps fuel my passion for what I do, because I feel like I'm not alone. And it's the same principle over at the Gather of saying, you know, I want to collaborate with you, I want to help you, please help me. Yeah, there is a little bit of that too, but it's like together we're stronger. So let's do it. Whatever it is, let's do it.
It's a great way to finish. I think let's do it is a good message, unless you have some other really beautiful quotes to finish off with. But no, Romi, really, thank you so much for coming to the See Through Café. It was lovely chatting to you, and hopefully we'll have many more opportunities to talk to each other, brainstorm ideas, and maybe think of how we can do things together to push these little walls and little bits of stones forward.
Big
So
yes.
thanks so much.
Thank you.